This is the ultimate lemon layer cake with lemon cream cheese frosting you will ever make. It doesn't matter how many adjectives are used to describe how magnificent this cake is, it won't do it justice. Like, I actually didn't think it would turn out this good, and you'll know exactly what I mean when you take that first bite. And it's unbelievably simple to make. You'll first preheat your oven to 160 degrees Celsius or 325 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll zest in your lemon. I've taken one very large lemon and I'm going to zest it into the castor sugar. And I'll use my clean fingertips to massage the zest of this lemon into the castor sugar to help release all of its natural oils and make it more flavorful. If you take a whiff of this sugar right now, it will smell incredibly lemony. I'll now pop this into a larger glass bowl because that's my mixing bowl in which I will be collecting my egg yolks. So I will separate my eggs first into whites and yolks. So I'll collect the egg whites in this smaller bowl, which will whip into a beautiful meringue later on. And I'll use my clean hands to collect the yolks. I personally prefer using my clean hands to separate the whites and the yolks. It's much simpler. You can definitely use a method that works for you. I also like to separate the eggs while they are cold because that helps keep the yolk intact. You want to be very mindful that you are not getting any of the yolk into the whites, because any trace of fat in the form of oil or butter or yolks, anything that's oily or fatty, if it gets into your whites, they will not whip up to a good volume. Now I'll keep the whites away. I don't want any fat getting into it, so I'll keep it separate. We'll need it later on. Here in this bowl, which also has the lemon scented castor sugar, and which now has the yolks as well. Using my whisk, I will mix this for about a minute. You see it goes from a deep rich yellow to a pale pastely yellow almost, and the sugar also needs to dissolve at that stage. So you want to mix it for a minute really well. And then you'll add a neutral tasting edible vegetable oil and mix this as well until the oil has mixed really well with the eggs and the sugar mix or the lemon scented sugar mix. Then I'll add in some milk and some vanilla and give it a good whisk again and make sure everything is well combined. If you feel like the eggs look a little bit split, do not worry about it. It will come together as you whisk and emulsify everything. I will now also add some room temperature sour cream. Adding this sour cream into your lemon cake, I find that it completely changes and transforms the texture and the flavor of the cake, making it more tender and moist and also extremely flavorful. So add the sour cream and give it a good whisk till it's combined. You can see it's a nice smooth mix right now. And now I'll sift in my dry ingredients. So we have all-purpose flour or plain flour, and I'll also add my baking powder, baking soda and some salt. And I'll sift this in. I just want to sift it in so that there are no lumpy bits in there and everything is really nice and smooth and lump free. Once I have sifted it in, I will use my spatula and gently fold it in so that the dry ingredients are well hydrated with the wet ingredients. And then I'll use my whisk and just mix it for about 10 to 15 seconds until it forms a nice smooth velvety batter. You absolutely do not want to overwork the batter or develop the gluten in the all-purpose flour. You want to just mix until it comes together. I'll also use my spatula and scrape down the sides and the bottom of the bowl. And now I'll keep this aside while we start working on our egg whites. Into these egg whites, I will add some salt. And now, using my electric beaters on the lower speed setting, I'll mix this for 3 minutes first. You just want to wake the egg whites up. You don't want to go in directly with a medium or a high speed. Start off with a slow speed first for 3 minutes. It will get incredibly foamy, and after about 3 minutes, it would have already increased tremendously in volume. At this point, you'll increase the speed of your electric beaters to medium for another 3 minutes. So you've already been mixing it for 3 minutes first on low speed, then you'll increase the speed to medium for 3 minutes, and at this point you'll also start adding your castor sugar a little at a time and mix it really well before you add the next little spoonful of the castor sugar into your meringue mix. By the time you've added all of the sugar, 3 minutes will have been up, and you will then increase the speed of your electric beaters to high and mix it for another 3 minutes. So you will overall be mixing your meringue for about 9 minutes, and at the end of 9 minutes you'll achieve these stiff peaks, which is perfect. Now you'll add a little bit into your cake mix and just whisk it really well. This is almost like a sacrificial amount of the meringue that you add in, just to help loosen up the cake batter. Now when you add the rest of the meringue, you'll add a little at a time and you'll fold it in gently, making sure that it's mixing really well with the rest of the batter. And you also want to ensure that you're not knocking out a lot of that air that you've just incorporated into the meringue. So gently fold it in until you don't see any more meringue bits, and then add the rest of the meringue as well and repeat the exact same process. This completely lightens up the cake batter, makes it very feather light, and when you bite into the cake, it almost disintegrates and melts in your mouth. I have two 8-inch cake tins here which I have greased really well and lined the bottom with parchment paper, and I'll pour this lush feather light cake batter into both the tins equally, and I will also tap it against the work surface to release any air pockets, and these will bake in the oven at 160 degrees Celsius or 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 28 minutes. A skewer or a knife inserted in the center should come out clean. Once they're out of the oven, you'll let them sit in the tin for about 20-25 minutes, and then you'll invert it onto a wire rack to help cool them down completely. And while that's happening, we'll make our syrup, our simple lemon syrup. So in a saucepan, I've just taken some castor sugar and some lemon juice, and I am going to turn the heat on now and just cook it on a low heat. You do not want to bring this to a boil. You don't want to heat it up to a very high temperature. You simply want to cook this until the sugar dissolves completely. As soon as you notice that the sugar crystals have dissolved and melted, you will turn off the heat and you will transfer it into another cup or a bowl for later use. And now we can start working on our lemon cream cheese frosting, which is so incredibly simple, and it is lemony and tangy and has the perfect balance of flavors. It is one of the best frostings you'll ever make. So I'm going to be using castor sugar here because you've guessed it, I am going to zest a lemon and rub the zest into the castor sugar with my fingertips to release all of those natural oils from the lemon. And this lemon scented castor sugar is going to add the sweetness and the lemony flavor to our cream cheese frosting. So I've added some room temperature cream cheese and I'm going to mix this on a medium speed for 1 to 2 minutes until the sugar completely dissolves. Now ideally you would use confectioner's sugar or icing sugar to make this, but I don't do this because I want to rub the zest of the lemon into the castor sugar to help release those natural flavors of the lemon. And the sugar dissolves in the cream cheese as you mix it for a couple of minutes. The consistency of the cream cheese really changes, which is exactly what we want. And now we'll add our chilled whipping cream, and I will mix this on a medium speed for about 2 minutes, and you'll start to see that by the end of those 2 minutes the frosting really starts to thicken up and you get this incredible lush, almost velvety smooth, shiny, glossy lemon cream cheese frosting that tastes absolutely incredible and is the perfect frosting for your lemon cake. You don't want to use a very high speed here, you can over whip the frosting, so always ensure you're using a medium or a low speed. And I would also recommend to use your spatula to clean the beaters because you can see the lemon zest gets stuck onto the beaters. You do not want to miss that because that is packed with lemon flavor. So make sure that you are getting the zest out from the electric beaters. And then just give it one last fold through like this, and look at how lush and creamy and glossy and velvety this lemon cream cheese frosting looks. Okay, so now our cakes have baked and cooled, our syrup's ready, our frosting's ready, so let's begin assembling this. So I'm going to take the first layer, and you can see you don't even need to level off these layers because they're very flat on their own. So I'm going to soak the surface of this cake with that lemon simple syrup that we prepared, and not just the top, I also like to go along the sides of the cake so that they get nice and softened and try to absorb as much of the lemony flavor from the syrup as they can. And I'll do the same for the second layer as well. Now I'll take the first layer that I have placed on my cake table, and I will add the frosting first along the sides, and then I will also add a generous amount of frosting in the center as well, like so. And I'll use my offset spatula and spread it around really well. You can see just how smooth and velvety and glossy this lemon cream cheese frosting is, and it tastes absolutely incredible. And when all of these layers are paired together, it is just one amazing lemon cake. Now the second cake that I had soaked, I will flip it over and place the soaked layer on the frosting, and then I'll soak the base of that cake as well, so that you get as much of the lemon flavor. Now I do want you to be mindful to not add too much of the syrup and make the cake soggy. You do want to be generous, but make sure that you're not adding so much that it ends up becoming soggy. Then you will take the rest of the lemon cream cheese frosting and add it on top, and then you will use your offset spatula, spread it gently and evenly as much as you can on the top, and you will push the excess frosting towards the edges of the cake so that you can then cover the sides of the cake in this frosting as well. And you'll repeat the same throughout the surface of the cake. And once you have sufficiently added the frosting towards the sides, you will take your offset spatula and just smooth it out really well from the top and the sides. Once you're happy with the frosted cake, you will pop this in the refrigerator for 1 hour. You want all the layers to set really well, the frosting to set really well, the flavors to merge. And in the meantime, then you will also whip some cream to stiff peaks. I haven't added any sugar to this. I love the fresh creamy element from the cream that helps balance out the tangy lemon cream cheese frosting. I'll also take some wedges of lemon and place them in between the frosted swirls, and our ultimate lemon layer cake with this glossy, almost mirror-like lemon cream cheese frosting is ready. And this cake itself is so feather light and almost like biting into a cloud of cotton. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, words will never be able to do justice to how amazing this cake is, and you will know this when you make it and take the first bite. This lemon layer cake with its silky smooth velvety lemon cream cheese frosting is perfect for any celebration or just to make over the weekend. And if you enjoy making lemon desserts, I have an entire playlist that I think you'll really like. It's on the screen now, so do check it out.